to my channel. So in this video I'm going to show you guys how to cut this two-piece. So we're going to be starting with the top. So if you look here, you see that I have my fabric folded into two. So we're going to be cutting it like a shirt, right? So the front panel is this second one here. It's folded into two, and then the back panel is this one here. The one on top is also folded into two, and the width of the fabric I have here is just my hip divided by 4 plus 1. That is what I'm using. I'm going to be using a simple dart here, but if you want, you can use a princess dart. So my measurements are starting here. You see, the one for the front is extended by about 1 inch or 1.5 depending on you, and then this one here is my hip divided by 4. If I start here, my hip divided by 4 is 12 plus 1 is 13. Okay. The length is from here to here is going to be my hip measurement plus 1. So from this point here at the top to the end here is 29. To my hip is probably about 27 or 28. So now let's go ahead and start inserting our measurement. The first thing you're going to do is to go up to the shoulder, which is here, and we're going to insert our shoulder divided by 2. Well, I'm going to subtract 1 from it. So my shoulder divided by 2 is 8 minus 1, because it's a sleeveless, I'm going to do 7, right? And then on that point of 7, I'm going to come down by 1 inch of shoulder slope, and then I'm going to insert my armhole, which you can get by dividing round your bust by 6 plus 1.5, which is this length here. So now I'm going to go ahead and connect it from here all the way to this point. So next thing is my bust measurement divided by 4. That is going to be here. I'm going to mark it 1 inch of seam allowance, and then after that you're going to also mark your shoulder to your waist, your shoulder to your hip, and then you're going to go ahead and mark your waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches at the waist, because the waist here is going to be we're going to be adding a dart. So 1 inch of darting, 1 inch of seam allowance, so that is going to be somewhere here. And then at the hip, you're going to do your hip divided by 4, so plus 1 inch here. So my hip divided by 4, I already marked it, plus 1 inch, and then all I have to do is just to connect it. So I'm connecting from the waist to the hip, and then from the waist to the bust. And then once it's done, I'm going to give it a curve here for my armhole here. And then after that, the next thing is neckline. So our neckline is going to be 3 inches. I've gone ahead and marked it here. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and mark the shoulder slope, connect it. So this is just basically our basic bodice is what I'm marking here. And then I'm going to come down 1 inch for the back neck depth here. And then that is it. So all I have to do is to go ahead and cut this out all the way to the end. So guys, this is what we have here. I've gone ahead and cut out the side here, the extra from the side, and then I've also gone ahead and cut out the armhole part, and then I also went ahead and removed the shoulder slope here, and then I also cut out this small bit from the neckline here. So that is it. So the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to split open this front panel into 2, because we need to have 2 pieces for the front and 1 piece for the back. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and draw in our darts. Like I said, we are using just a basic dart here. So I've split open the front. Now we're going to go ahead and draw in our darts. So just how you normally draw your basic dart is what I'm going to be doing here. But let me separate the two now so you guys can see. So this is my back panel, the one without the seam allowance. So this is it. Let me remove it here. And then this is my front panel. So you're just going to go ahead and mark your let me show you, because I've marked my own here. So this is just a basic bodice dart. So you see, this is it here. So first thing is that from the center line, which you can see here, my shoulder to my waist, which is on this line. So how you are going to get this straight line is that from the center, you're going to move your nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus half an inch. So for me, that is 4 plus half an inch, 4.5. I went 4.5. This is my center line here, right? I went 4.5 away from here, 4.5 away from here, and then I ruled a straight line. Then my waistline is here, and then my dart at the bottom stop 2 inches before my hip line. The one at the top here is going to stop at my chest line. This is for the back. You see, we have one piece at the back, right? So that's basically my dart here. All I have to do is just mark half an inch here, half an inch here, connect it to the top, connect it to the bottom here. The same on this side, half an inch here, half an inch here, connect it like this, just like that. So this is my dart here. And then for the front, it's also the same line that I marked here, but except this time around my dart stops 1 inch before my shoulder to nipple. So I stopped at, so it's going to be 12, but I stopped at 13. So for my shoulder to 13 is going to be where I stopped, and then my waistline, and my shoulder to waist, and then my shoulder to hip, which is, I stopped 2 inches before my hip line down here. So I stopped 2 inches before my hip line. So that's basically it here. All I have to do is just to go ahead half an inch on each side here, on just the waist, and connect it. So that's just the basic dart, right? So I've marked where my darts are going to be for each of them. So now let's make all the changes that we need for each one. So for the front, this is what we're going to do here. So first thing is that we're going to go back into the neckline, which is here. You see my armhole, you see the neckline, you see the center part. We're going to come down 3 inches for the neck. If you want, you can do, her own is quite high, so I don't know if I should do 3 or 3.5, but let me just stick to 3. If it's not enough, I can always go back and reduce like half an inch. So this is it here. I'm going to go ahead and cut here. So now I'm going to cut this out. So this is my 3 inch of neck depth, the basic neckline that we use for front panel, right? I've marked it, so cut that out. And then the next thing is that I'm going to also go ahead and mark from my shoulder to my waistline, like I said before. And then you're going to measure, so that is going to be somewhere here for me, 17.5, right? And then what I'm going to do is that to get that angle at her own, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to come down maybe 3 inches down from where my waist, from my waistline. So that is going to be at 20.5 or so, right? So I can do 21.5 just so that I have half an inch of joining it to the lining. So instead of the 3 inches, I did 3.5. And just what you can do again is that just know that we had initially 1 inch here at the end of this clothes, right? We had 1 inch here, which is going to be the bottom, the placket. We had this 1 inch here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here to my nipple line, which is at 4.5, right? Which is going to be somewhere here, right? So what I'm going to do is that from this point now, I'm going to roll this line all the way down to the end, here, right? Let me show you what I'm saying. So normally this is what we had before. My front panel had extra 1 inch at this end, which is this 1 inch that I marked here, so that we just know that this part is still going to be overlapped on for the bottom part, right? So just forget about that part. And then we came in next again from our nipple to nipple, right? Which is what I just marked now. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to then go from the end of this here and mark it to that nipple to nipple line, right? So let me move it so you can see. I made sure that depending on what it is for you, I made sure to rule the line here. And then what I'm going to do is that from this point here, after this is my waistline, right? After I came down 3 inches down from my waist, it depends on you where you want that angle that went this way, at the end, like that's in front. It depends on you where you want yours to start. So I want mine to start, like I said before, 3 inches below, or below my waistline. That's my shoulder to waist. So now I'm going to connect from the end of that here to this point here. If you want, you can still angle yours even more, but I think this is okay for me. But I'll go back to her own and see if it's at this point that she moved it, or if she even went further, because I'm thinking her own is like the way her own is moved, it went in further than this. So the breast point line, so this is your breast point line. 1 inch after that is where I'm going to connect my angle, because her own went even deeper than that. So I'm going to move mine just like her own. So let's go ahead and mark it. So instead of this initial line that we had here, I'm going to cut it off, and then we're going to use this one. So that's all the changes we need to make in front. So I'm just going to go ahead and, so guys, once the front is done, you see I've cut out that piece here from the front. Once you cut out that part here, this angle here, the next thing is to take your back panel again, place it, everything, make sure that it's equal. That's from the shoulder pass here to the neckline, everything, place it equal, like and then come down to this end here. So at this bottom part here, the next thing we're going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and mark by the side. If you notice, this is the end of the top, right? Towards this side here, the side is where you're going to just come up at least 1.5. If you want, you can do 2 inches, but I think I'm going to do 2 inches, just so that the curve is more pronounced. So I'm going to come up here by 2 inches and then blend it in like this. So if you want, you can use a curve ruler and then blend it into the center back, just like this. So that is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go ahead and cut it off by the edge here. So now you see, we'll form that shape that we're looking for at the back. So you see, it gave it that shape at the back, and then in front also it made this part pointier than what it was before, right? So now all we have to do is just to trace everything out on the lining. If you want, you can use bias for yours. You can just use bias to turn it over for the back, but for the front, definitely you're going to need a lining for it, because you remember what we have here is just 1/2 inch for turning it over. We didn't give room for more than 1/2 inch. So I think I'm going to just turn everything over with lining. So cut lining exactly like what it is here, and then you're going to close up this side so guys, this is it here. I've gone ahead and ironed this here. So this is my top. So if you want to do yours, all you have to do is just to go ahead and just join the shoulder together. So you see mine here, I'm just going to add the dots now. So all you have to do is just to take it the way it is. Like after you finish cutting it, go ahead, trace out lining for both the 2 sides of the front and 1 piece for the back, and then join it to the shoulder, and like join the shoulder of this together, and then also do the same thing on your lining. Take it, join the shoulder together like this, join it at the shoulder here, and then once you join it, take the 2 of them, that's you've joined your fabric together, join the lining on its own together, just like how you have this cloth now. All you have to do is just to take it, place it right side facing each other, and then close up the armhole, close up the neckline, close up the side like this, and then close up the bottom part like you're going to sew all the way here. Close up this end, close up this corner here, and then you're just going to leave this side open, and then at the back also you're going to leave it open at the side, and then just flip it out. That's how you're going to join it with lining. So but for me, I decided to use lining just in front. The back, I decided to just use bias for it. So now this is what I'm working with. My top is done. All I have to do is just to take it here, finish up with closing up the side seam. So I'm just going to close up the side seam with 1 inch here, and then also close up this other side seam here with 1 inch, right? And that will be it. All I have to do is just to go ahead now, add button and buttonhole on it. So I'm going to take it the way it is now, put button on one side, put buttonhole on the other one. You see where it overlaps? I'm going to put it on the 2 of them, just like that. And that will be it for this. In the meantime, we're also going to go ahead and cut our basic pencil skirt to complete the skirt. You see, I've picked my dart, done everything. So all I have left is just to go ahead, iron it again, and then insert my button and buttonhole. So I brought it back so you guys will see before I go ahead and do that. So this is it here. It just needs to add button and then buttonhole on this side all the way to the top. This is the bottom part here, you see. So I still have to iron it. So now we're going to go ahead and move over to the skirt. So this is the fabric I'm using for my skirts, right? Because I'm using this because it has a touch of purple here, so I decided to use this one. So just basically a pencil skirt pattern is what we're drafting. My skirt is going to be longer than her own. So right now I have about, I think, 21 here for the length so far, and I'm still going to add my band. So what I have now is 22 actually. So I'm going to go ahead and start to insert my measurements. So the width here, you see, the second fabric here is into 2, which is the two piece for the back, and then the one on top of it here is just on a fold. If I open it, you see it's on a fold, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and insert my waist measurement. But before that, you see that I have about my hip divided by 4 is 12 plus 1, that is 13. And then the extension at the back has 1 inch, which is the back panel. So go up to the waist, my waist divided by 4, mark it, add 2 inches just like we did before, 1 inch of that and 1 inch of seam allowance. Go from the waist to the hip line, And then I'm going to go ahead on this line, mark my hip divided by 4, which is 12, plus 1 inch of sewing. Come down here at the end, and then I'm going to go ahead and mark. Some people normally take what they have from the waist and put it down here if you want it really pensed, but I think I'm just going to take away 1.5 at the end here, and then that will be it. So 1.5 is okay for me. And then I'm going to connect from here to the waist, and then from the waist to the hip. So now that I marked it, you see I've marked it on the side, I'm just going to go ahead and mark where my dart will be. So my dart is the same thing again, my bust line, my bust point divided by 2, which is 4 plus half an inch, mark it. And then I'm going to mark that line all the way to the hip, but I'm going to stop 2 inches before the hip line, which is somewhere here. And then half an inch on this side, half an inch on this other side. And that is my dart here. So I'm going to notch it because it will be transferred on the 4 layers of the skirt. And then the next thing is going to be to go ahead and cut off the sides here. So guys, now that it's cut, I'm going to go ahead now, open it up so you see. All I have to do is to pick my dart on the 4 layers. The 2 sides of the front here would have a dart here, and then the 2 sides of the back will also have a dart. One for this side, and then one on the other side like this. I'm going to close it up here, close up the 2 sides of my skirt, fold the end, close up the center back so that I can be able to add my zip. And then I'm going to come back and put in a band. Next thing is going to be to go ahead and add the band for the when I open it is about 5 inches, and then I fold it into 2, tucking half an inch on this side, tucking half an inch on this side, tucking half an inch on the other side, and that will be 2 inches will be what I'm left with, right? So now this is the skirt here. I've gone ahead and sewn the sides close, so folded the end, added my dart. So this is the waist. All I have to do is just to go ahead and use the band to finish up the waist, and then I'm going to also add my zipper at the back here. Right, I already have several videos of pencil skirts, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish up my skirt now. And for the top, you will see that I've already finished everything on it, right? This is it here. I just have to iron it. I've added my button and my buttonhole already. So guys, this is it here. The top is done, and then this is the skirt next to it here. So that's basically it. You see, this is what it looks like. It has lining in the top. Guys, please like, share and subscribe. Bye.